Hey guys, it's Jessica with Stay Cozy Creative Co. And today I'm going to be attaching 3 more granny squares to my chunky granny square blanket. So my current blanket is sitting over there on the couch and there's already 6 squares total. And I got a lot of comments online saying that it would look better with 9 squares. It would make the blanket more of a square itself. And so I decided to finally listen to those comments and do that. So I have 3 more here with me today that I made last week. And my first step is going to be to connect these together, and then I will connect them to the rest of the blanket. So to get started, I need to figure out what order I'm putting them in. So I need to look at my blanket to see the variation of color and how it's dispersed and then decide. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so now I know what order I want them to go in, and I need to just make sure that I have them all facing the proper way with the finished side on the same side. Okay, I do. So I'm gonna get started by connecting these 2 first. And to do that, I'm going to flip them over so that I'm connecting them on the back side. If you've made some of these granny squares and you're looking to connect your own together to make a blanket, I do have a separate video that shows you how I'm going to do that. So this won't necessarily be a tutorial, but I will kind of show you quickly how I'm doing it. So I'm going to flip them upside down and turn them. I'll probably have to check again to make sure I have them in the right order when I'm done with this. But I'm just going to be using the white chenille yarn again, since that's what I used for the border of each of my squares. And what I'm going to do is basically line up the stitches here, and we're going to just be going through the back part of the loop of each of these stitches, and we're going to kind of weave back and forth in like a zigzag pattern to connect them. So when I learned how to do this, it was the stitch that connected your granny squares so that it would lay pretty flat, because I didn't really want it to be a focal point of the blanket. I just wanted it to be attached. And I believe when I did this last time, I did 3 lengths of yarn, which I think will be more than enough, but we'll stick with that just to make sure we have enough. So I'm going to start up in the corner, and again there's like this side stitch. I'm just going to go through the back part of the stitch and pull just a few inches through so that I don't lose it. And then I'm going to use this longer end to weave back and forth. So now I'll just go to the next loops, go through just that back part of the stitch and pull the yarn all the way through. So my squares are kind of wobbly, I guess, a bit, because I haven't blocked them. I've never blocked a project before, and I don't know if anyone has blocked chenille yarn before, but I think I'm going to try it when the blanket is all together. Obviously, it would have been easier to block each individual square from the beginning, but I didn't know what blocking was at the time, so I didn't do it. And then now I feel like it might just help the blanket lay a little more flat, but I don't know. I haven't decided for sure. And so when doing this part of the project, it's not difficult. You just kind of have to make sure you're paying attention so that you aren't skipping any loops. But thankfully the chenille yarn is very forgiving since it's so fluffy. So if for some reason you do skip one, and then if you notice a hole later, you can always just take some extra yarn and connect it later. So I did have to do that when I first made the blanket. And the other thing to pay attention to is that you are indeed going through the back stitch of the stitches that are facing each other. There's a lot of different stitches going on here, so you kind of just have to make sure that you are finding the right ones. It kind of helps me sometimes if I ever lose track of where I am, is to kind of turn the granny square sideways to kind of look, because then you can see the stitches a little bit better from the side to figure out which one is actually that back stitch. So when you get to the end of that side, you just want to make sure that you go all the way up to where those corners touch, otherwise you will get a gap in your blanket where they connect. But I'm just going to leave this longer piece now for when I connect it to the bigger blanket, and I'm going to connect the third piece to this one. Yes, to this one. So I'm going to do that next. Oops. So as you can see, I'm moving to the floor because my table isn't big enough for this whole blanket. And so I'm going to work on getting this all connected now. So I'm going to use the same technique that I did for connecting each of the individual squares, but I'm just going to work my way all along this whole line. So I'll use, oh shoot, well, that's okay. I have more yarn on this side, which is totally fine. I have my longer one over here. So I'll maybe try and pull this through, otherwise I'll just have extra yarn there, which is fine. Yeah, so let's do it. So this was the next day when the blanket was finally completed, and I am so in love with it. This was really a labor of love and took me several months just because I took a break in between making the first 6 squares and then adding the last 3 squares. But I'm so happy with how it turned out. If you're interested in making your own granny square blanket, you can check out my channel for a bunch of other videos around this content. And then I also sell the video tutorial on my website at staycozyco.com. Thank you so much for watching. You can find more Granny Square content on my channel, so be sure to subscribe. And until next time, stay cozy, creative, and kind.